And we're gonna get started then.
Okay, my husband's here too, Corey.
Oh, hey, how you doing?
Is
Hey, doing great, thank you.
Good, good. So today we're gonna be going over safe internet use. It's gonna break down just some easy tips for choosing passwords. If I could go here. Password creation. We're going to go over some computer protection software, commonly known as malware protection, or just virus protection. And then we're going to go over some of the scams that are targeted at senior citizens. Ones on the internet, ones on the phone call, ones through the mail, and then we're going to go to the National Council on Aging's website to look through their tips, and as well as show you guys some more information about that just on website and where you can find it yourself. So first off, we're going to start at just password creation guidelines. So you use your password for a lot of different websites nowadays, and you need to be figuring out some way for you to have unique passwords on every website, but at the same time, your password should be something that is familiar to you or goes through a certain process or procedure so that you don't keep forgetting them. I am a huge um, bad habit wielder, whatever you want to call it, of having to restart my passwords every time I try to join on a different account, whether it be Facebook, whether it be my, just anything that I'm using, my email address, PayPal, all of this stuff. I have different passwords for every single one, and I can never remember them. So I'm very commonly, clicking forget password, et cetera, et cetera. So just to break it down nice and easy, there's a lot of things you should not use when you're doing whenever you're creating a password. And really what you need to make sure is that whatever you're using when you create a password cannot be connected to you through public domain information. So your address is likely on the internet with your name. The post office has it. Certain websites have it. The white pages has an online version now that they'll provide whatever information they can that they've just gathered from the internet. So you want to always avoid using your address, birthday, any combination of anything from your name. What you should choose as the basis or the meat of your password should be something that's unique to you, that not something you really post online very often. If you're an avid birder, maybe pick your favorite bird. If you like to garden, pick your favorite vegetable. If you travel a lot, pick one place that you went that you like, you remember it. So like I could say, me and my wife went to Barcelona one year for our anniversary, or not anniversary, but for our honeymoon, and we really liked the just Barcelona in general. So we could do something like Barcelona or Spain, or I forget exactly where we stayed, but there's the really long street where the merchants are in Barcelona, and it's called. It's the biggest. It's the main street, goes right down. It ends at the Las Ramblas, is what it's called,
Oh, I
and
could
that would.
spell it.
Yeah, and that would be an excellent way, because it's a common enough thing. You're familiar with it. You can leave a note saying that one street in Barcelona, and it's something that you can leave a note where it's not clear what your password is, but to you it's clear how you get to your password. You always want to have some of the combinations in your password: a capital letter, lowercase letters, special characters, and numbers. Um, Try to pick one or two special characters that you use across your passwords. You can interchange them or always use both of them in different ways, but don't try to use every single special character in every password ever. You want to find some kind of method to your password, so that if you do forget something, rather than having to say, oh, I forgot password, and then your old password now becomes moot because you have to change it to a new password, you have this way to be able to figure out where your passwords are. Like you want to create a variety of passwords. All of your passwords from one website to another should be different. Now, if you happen to go on a lot of online forums, say you have it on travel forums, you have a hobby that you talk to other people online, as long as the website doesn't feature any financial information, it's okay to try to use multiple same passwords for those different websites. However, and this is something that got me when I was younger, never use the same password for a smaller forum or like a small website that you use on any website where you have financial information. So for me, I used to play a lot of video games. I mean, I still play a lot of video games, but when I used to play a lot of video games, you would have to kind of go online and ask people for help. And I used all my password, pretty much the same thing on everything. And one of those small forums actually got hacked because their security is very lax. They're not really worried about that. And they were able to steal my password and my email address. And then hackers nowadays, they don't have to go to every single website and try it. They can create a artificial intelligence program that will basically, you put your information in and it will go across the whole internet in probably the span of like a couple of minutes, and it will have tried that password and that username in all these different websites. And if it finds one, then good, it's in, and it'll steal whatever information it can from you. And it doesn't have to have financial information to be able to get to your financial information. That's kind of confusing, but that's to say, if they can find a website where you've posted your name, your street address, something unique about yourself, they can almost kind of fake their way into faking and stealing your identity to get into a financial institution where you might have your money, or just any sort of online website. They can contact that website's customer support. They can give you all this information they stole. They say, oh, I can't have my email. I don't have my email anymore. Oh, I don't have that password, yada, yada, yada. And sometimes the websites, benefit of the doubt, they will give that a new password to them. And then just like that, the hackers are in and they've stolen more of your information. So always be careful. You want to avoid any sort of personal information. You want to make sure you have a good combination of capital letters, lowercase letters, special characters, and numbers. And you always want to make sure you have different passwords for different websites.
Corey,
Now,
are we allowed to ask a question?
always feel free to ask as many questions as you like.
Well, okay, so regarding what you just said, I do have my address linked to my PayPal account,
Hmm.
which you kind of do.
Yes.
Did I not do that?
No, and for that you do need that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is don't use your address in your password.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Your information, a lot of your financial informations. I mean, whenever I pay for Amazon, it has my billing address there as well as my shipping address. That's all fine and dandy. It's when you use your password, because it's easy to find myself on white pages and know that my street address is Thunder Bay. If my
Okay.
passwords use Thunder Bay, somebody can easily just try to use that.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, when I said that there were, hackers are using artificial software,
Hmm.
they're no longer trying to just guess it on their own. They have a computer to do that. Computers can go through, you can give them 8 letters and the computer will make whatever words possible from those letters. If they get a partial password, they can just, there's just so many ways out there nowadays for somebody to steal your password. So you want to make sure that you have things that are not connected to yourself. Information that you keep in your brain that's every day, in front of you, things in your house. Hackers they're not coming into your house. It's all virtual. So if there's ways to connect non-virtual objects into your password, that can be your safe ways. So one thing though, and a big thing, especially with how many applications there are on the App Store nowadays, is when you have password records. So my wife is a huge no-no when it comes to this. She has a note page or a note on her phone that has all of her passwords for everything. It's just in one little file. If somebody were to take that, they would have access to everything in our life. And it helps her because she has so many passwords, she needs to figure it out. But you definitely don't want to make it easy for somebody to be able to steal that. So if you absolutely have to have some kind of record of your passwords, it's important to develop some kind of secret code to kind of to figure out how to keep your passwords there, but at the same time keep them safe. So, I see here you can make a dual code system. That means you have a list of websites with the numbers next to them, and then you have a different list that just has numbers, and then it has passwords and passcodes next to that. Now, in that situation, you just have two notes. It's fairly easy for somebody to put one and one together to say that, oh, this website has number, or this note has websites and numbers, and this note has numbers and passcodes and access points, or has numbers with account names and passwords. But it's better than just having it all in one note. Sometimes somebody only steals one file from your computer. Sometimes they only have so much time and they have to just take what they can. I don't recommend it, but it's better than just having one note. What I do recommend is that you take your passwords and you take your account information and you replace certain numbers. So say you have a password and the password is Dr. Pepper. Well, how about instead of Dr. Pepper, you have it, instead of just writing out Dr. Pepper as your password, you're going to replace all of the E with 3, the P with a D, and then the D with another P. Somebody might look at that and think, oh, that's the password, but you know that you've already replaced certain stuff off of there. Now, where would you keep this extra code? I recommend keeping it physical. Put it on a piece of paper and a notepad next to your computer, someplace physical where somebody has to actually be in your house to take your code. And additionally, don't keep your passwords next to the code. Just keep the code somewhere and you can keep your passwords with you at all times. That's fine. Now, one last thing, whenever Google asks you, would you like to save your password? Never save it on anywhere that contains financial or private personal information. It is never a good idea to have it auto pop in because those autofills are connected to your account, not to your computer or your smartphone. So if somebody happened to get into your email account, they can log on to a Google browser, just a Chrome browser anywhere in the world. And if they go to a website where you've saved the password, they can go through that just like before. They don't have to have your smartphone. They don't have to have your computer. So that's why it's always recommended never to do that. You can do it for simple stuff, Facebook if you really want to, online forums, maybe a shopping website that you don't actually pay through. Those are all fine. Just make sure you're never doing it with anything financial or private personal information. We're going to continue on. So now this next portion of our class is going to be focusing on virus protection. So for the most part, virus protection comes in the form of an additional application or software that you've downloaded onto your phone, or in some cases, you can even download these onto your smartphone. Nowadays, smartphones are so much like computers that I highly recommend that you have some sort of virus protection on your phone. If you happen to have T-Mobile, I know they already have a program. I think AT&T has a program that's automatically downloaded onto your computer. For the most part, a lot of these companies nowadays, they come with something similar to Windows Defender, which is what the Windows application or the Windows program comes with. It's really simple. It's bare bones, but it's better than nothing. But there are a lot of free options out there that are going to be better than just the base one that you get. And of course, there's also a lot of paid options that are going to be even better. They're going to give you a lot of tools to help you in your life. But for the most part, if you are just looking for virus protection, we're going to be able to find you a good free version. If you're looking for more, there's a lot of really good premium versions you can pay for. So,
which is the best for Apple?
For Apple?
Yes.
So first off, I should preference with, I don't own an Apple, so I'm not the best. We'll get to that today when I go through my program. We'll figure out. We'll go online and we'll determine which is the best one for Apple. I know there are some programs that are that work on both Apple and Windows. Norton and McAfee, the big names, are going to be working on a lot of the different versions. But I mean, it used to be that people really didn't even need virus protection for Apples because they were so different than Windows, and that nobody really built viruses for them. Viruses don't just come out of nowhere. Somebody put the effort to make that virus and then spread it out to the world. And it used to be, when I was in high school, and that was only 10 years ago, nobody really needed anything more than what Mac already came with because nobody really bothered. Apple is huge in America, but outside of America, majority of the third world countries, a majority of these countries that have internet but don't really have, not every person has their own computer. Windows is king. Same with Android. Apple is really big in America, but around the world, and because of that, it just means that as a Mac or Apple user, you guys are a bit better protected just because you're kind of just in this niche environment where really nobody really wants to get your information. Now, that's not to say that there aren't viruses out there, and that's not to say that we will not find a good virus protection that's best for Apple. We're going to go through that in just a moment. So without further ado, we're going to go just break down what is your security software what is it really going to help you with. So the biggest thing, and the one thing that most security software's virus protection is going to provide for you, is a virus scan. You're going to be able to click on it. It's going to scan through your computer. It's going to find anything that has been referenced on a list. There's kind of this big blacklist with these virus companies that they're checking whenever they scan your computer. They're not really looking for a file. They don't really know that the file is, if you're not connected to the internet and you haven't updated your virus scan in a while, you might miss out because they're basically connected to the internet. They're checking a big long list. They're cross-referencing it with all of your files on your computer, and they're going to highlight and quarantine whichever ones are bad. So most virus scans, whenever you scan it, if they do find a virus, the first thing it's going to do is it's going to put it in its own little bubble and protect it from the rest of your computer, which is good. That's what you're really looking for, is going to be some good virus scan. But that's not all they do. Many of the premium versions and some of the free versions also provide identity protection. That is basically where they have their software running through the black web, the dark web, however you want to call it, the black market internet, where you can steal somebody's identity, where people are selling identities as well. They are scanning the dark web as best as they can, and if they find your information, then they will kind of highlight and let you know. They'll do whatever they can to kind of take it down, but most often than not, those companies, when you're on the dark web, it's just better to be able to know that your information is out there so that you can go through the process of changing it yourself. If your social security number is stolen, the only thing you can really do is change that number, because even if you get it removed from the internet, whoever had it the first time still has that number. So identity protection is really just a way to highlight and make you aware of your information being out there and give you that opportunity to go out and change what you need to change. And then finally, a lot of these virus scans have started to add in, or security softwares have started to add in, ways to increase the performance of your PC. Because they're already scanning through your computer, they often highlight files that haven't been used or are just taking up a lot of space. They can defragment your drive, which is kind of confusing, but it basically just connects the dots between portions of your hard drive so that it runs more smoothly. Because as you go through every day to day and you perform function after function, your computer, it sections off each task. So if I want to search the internet, my computer is going to reserve a certain amount of memory and it's going to section it off into a small little fragment. And then, now I want to play a video. Well, it's going to section off what it needs and it's going to put it into its own fragment. And for the most part, your computer does a pretty well job of connecting everything back again, but often not, you're going to end up with these little faint fragment lines. This just slows your computer down process, as things go on. And defragmenting your drive is just one way to help speed up your computer. It's just more of like a band-aid fix. It's not really going to make a slow computer faster, but it's going to make a slow computer more efficient and closer to however it's supposed to be. So another security tool that we'll talk about is going to be a virtual private network or a VPN. And these are very helpful whenever you are basically trying to search the internet, but when you're not at home. It's even more helpful if you're trying to do something where you want more privacy, where you're out in public. So if you go to Starbucks and you really needed to check your bank account, there is always a risk that if you are connecting to a Wi-Fi, like an open Wi-Fi where somebody hasn't given you a password, the second you connect to it, somebody that's already connected on there is aware that you've connected to the internet and can attempt to start getting into your computer. Or just even to the point of just viewing what you're looking at. And if they can view what you're looking at, then they can steal your information if you're trying to log into any kind of financial information or any place where you want to have your information secure. Now, some VPNs are free. They usually, if they're free, they usually have an ad. Some VPNs are you pay for. They're going to act a lot better. Essentially, what a virtual private network is it's going to create a special tunnel. So I put an example there of think of the express lane on Mopac.
Yeah.
So I'm driving down Mopac, everybody's driving down Mopac, but I want to go into my own lane because I want to go faster. I want to be more secure. There's a little barrier there. So I'm going to go into the express lane. Sometimes you have to pay for it. Sometimes you don't. But now that I'm in this express lane, I'm going a little bit faster, not much, but it's a little bit faster, as well as you're not right next to somebody. It's not easy to get in and out. Okay. I use a VPN very commonly whenever I am traveling abroad, because you never know how, what's going on whenever you're not at home, traveling abroad, or even just traveling, to HEB, traveling to Starbucks, traveling to anywhere where I'm going to connect to an internet. It's always helpful to use a VPN. It can be kind of confusing, but they're really helpful. And once you get into a hang of it, your information is just going to be that much more secure. So for VPNs, if you're looking to have a VPN that you buy, I recommend NordVPN. That's NORD VPN. If you're looking for one that's free, really, you just want to go onto your app store and find one that has a lot of downloads and has a high rating. So I'm looking here on the Google App Store. There's things called VPN Free, Thunder VPN, Super VPN, XVPN, so many of them. The VPN Free has 50 million downloads. The Turbo VPN has 100 million downloads. Those are good because that means a lot of people are using it. And if there was a problem with it, then you're going to start seeing less downloads as well as bad reviews. Just looking right now on the App Store on Apple, our VPNs popping up as NordVPN is there. You have Hotspot Shield, VPN Force, Best VPN. So in general, there's so many options there. If you're looking for a really good one, NordVPN is good. It does require you to pay for some really nice uses of it. If you find yourself traveling a lot, I highly recommend that you have one of those. If you don't really access the internet outside of your home, then this just doesn't necessarily need to be for you. Now, you don't have to use a VPN when you are on your data. Your data is always going to be you're basically in your own tunnel no matter what. This is only for when you connect to somebody's Wi-Fi. So just a quick thing, more often than not, you're going to have free versions and premium versions with all sorts of security. The way things are free is because they either have a short trial, so you get a free for 1 week and then it's paid after that, or they have ads and pop-ups. I've never had a free version that really bothered me too much with ads and pop-ups, though of course if you don't like ads at all, then you have the option to pay or just kind of have to ignore them.
So Corey, you said you would use this maybe when you went to HEB. So what do you do then? You go on to your virtual network before you access the internet? You're
Yes.
going that way?
So when I'm in HEB and because like most often whenever I go to HEB, if they have Wi-Fi, because when you're in HEB or Walmart or any of those big stores, your signal is pretty terrible. It's really hard to access the internet. So you often connect to their Wi-Fi, but their Wi-Fi is open. An unsecure Wi-Fi is the worst thing when it comes to security. I mean, anybody can do anything, no monitor, really, it's dangerous. So you would activate your VPN and then connect to their Wi-Fi, and then you're free to go. You have that extra security. You can connect to their Wi-Fi and then activate the VPN, but I always just like to have the VPN going before the Wi-Fi goes.
And why would we need to do that at HEB? If we're, I mean, most people, I just run in there to shop and come out.
Well, say you're looking to check your bank account. Yeah, it's not really for everybody. There's not really big. I'm not saying that you're always going to be doing this, but in the opportunity that I go to HEB and I need to check to make sure I have enough money for this gift I'm about to buy, I don't want to just be accessing my personal information there.
Right.
That way you want to and do that. So maybe HEB is not the best example, but say you're at the, I'm trying to think of a good example where you're really accessing your bank account. It doesn't have to be a bank account. It could be any login where you're logging in where you have payment there. So let's say you use the HEB app and you do the HEB has this option where you can pay through your application. If you're connected through their Wi-Fi, somebody can possibly access your phone and then through the HEB app buy whatever they want, you know.
So that would apply like us doing the HEB curbside stuff, like when we order at home and our card is linked, so it automatically charges it.
So if you're ever anywhere where you are not home and you're trying to do the HEB curbside app, that is when you would want to activate your VPN.
Okay, but if I'm in my home, I'm okay.
Yes,
Okay.
whenever you're behind a secure Wi-Fi, so not even only at your home, if you're behind a Wi-Fi where somebody gave you a password, say it's your friends, or say you go to a restaurant and the only way that you get to eat is, the only way you get the password is if you're eating there, those are going to be a bit more secure. Nobody's really just going to be sitting there and trying to steal your information. It's not saying that it couldn't happen, but it's, really it's in these opportunities where you're not home and you're trying to access the internet through Wi-Fi and you want to be more secure. That's when you want to use your VPN.
Okay.
All right. So free and premium. Now there's always two versions of free. There's free trial and free version. Free version has ads. Free trial, just a limited time that you can use it before you're going to have that premium version pop up. So we're going to start now. We're going to go through a lot of these programs here and see what they look like. Or not see what they look like, but basically go through what they do. So the first that we came up with is Bitdefender. It does cost $35 per year. It includes a VPN. It has excellent malware and virus detection. It effectively removes the threats from your computer, and it works well on both Mac and Windows. So like you asked earlier, what is a good one that you can use for Mac? Well, here's one that does work well. Now, cons. I don't know very many people who use Microsoft Edge, but if you use the Internet Explorer or the regular Microsoft browser, this might not be very well for you. If you use Chrome or Firefox or any of the other ones, then this will work perfectly. Additionally, if you're looking for have some software that's both on your computer and your mobile device, this is probably not going to be the one for you. You're going to want to look for a different one that's going to work best on all of your devices. Now after that we have Norton. Norton is a big, well-named, well-known virus protection. It, at one point, used to be one of the big three, which used to be Norton, McAfee, and Kaspersky. I don't think, we don't do Kaspersky anymore because it is connected to the Russian government, and therefore you don't really want to mess with any kind of programs that are connected to any government. I wouldn't even trust any programs that's sponsored by the United States government. If it's sponsored by a government, that only thing that really means is that the government wanted to have a backdoor into that program So with Kaspersky, the Russians could come in, and anybody who was using that application, they could go into that computer and look around. So really, nobody really, I don't even know if the company is still a thing anymore, but that was a big news article a couple of years back. But getting back to it, we have Norton here, $40 a year. They give 100% guarantee protection against malware. I don't know if that's 100% true, but Norton is a big name, and they have a lot of money behind them to really help and seek out and have the tech help. It does also include a password manager. It's kind of like a vault for your passwords. You can put all your passwords in Norton, and then you only have to remember one password, because basically you would save all your websites and it would protect all of your passwords by you will use one password, then Norton will automatically fill it up. Now, with that situation, it's not doing the same thing we said earlier where it's saving it on the website. You only can access this anywhere where you have Norton, because it's something that Norton does itself. So it's a bit safer than saving it on the website. It's actually a lot more safer. It's also useful everywhere. So Mac, Windows, on your Apple, on your Android, Norton is big enough that they are pretty much anywhere on a smartphone, a computer, or any kind of device that needs a virus protection. Norton is there. There are a few drawbacks. If you're looking to have parental controls, which I doubt anybody who's listening to this video is really looking for that. But if you happen to have grandchildren that come and play on your computer, you're going to have to pay a little bit extra to have more controls in your parental controls in your computer. Now, of course, your computer already has parental controls, so you really don't need to worry about this, but this is just a step up. It's a bit more beefier for their controls. It's also limited to 3 user devices. So if you have 2 smartphones and 1 computer, you're good. If you have 2 computers and 2 smartphones, you have to pay an extra $40. So, and I know very often there might be like family plans, there might be discounts for more. You probably can pay extra just to have more devices, but just be aware it's going to be an extra cost. And then it says here, some missed threats with the basic virus scan. That's probably going to be your free version, not your premium version. That's going to be your free version of Norton. It's not going to be you're not going to get that deep virus scan. It's not really going to have the full list. It's really just a selling tactic to try to get you to pay for it. That's what it is. It's just they didn't really put a lot of information because Norton has always been a program that you buy. They've really never been too much interested in this free, but with smartphones, with just the way the world has gone nowadays, they had to add something just to try to hook people in. And of course, we have McAfee. Excellent program, a little bit more expensive, but it's also a very meaty and demanding program on your computer. We're going to go with the cons first. It does cause some computer slowdown. That's because it's kind of almost always searching on a computer. There are ways to turn this off, but you're never going to be able to turn it off completely. So just be aware, if you have McAfee on your computer, you're going to be a little bit slower. It doesn't check too often for outdated software. Its list kind of revolves around whenever they think that something isn't a threat anymore. They don't really bother with it. Additionally, it doesn't really check to see whether or not things you're using for things. It doesn't really check to see whether or not you have unused files. It's just there for the virus scan. And it doesn't include webcam protection. This is something a lot of people nowadays want, but at the same time, you can get webcam protection in the form of just putting a piece of tape over your webcam. There you go. You're done. That's it. It's the simplest way to make sure nobody's really looking through your computer or your webcam. It does have great virus protection. It does allow you to use a limited user, so as many devices as you want. Your whole family could be working off of one McAfee account, and it did get a perfect protection score. So it does what it does well. It just is not as great. If we're looking at these 3, I highly recommend you getting Norton. Norton's a good, well-known name. It has some good versions for it. Now, there is a third one that I did not include here, and it's called Malware Bytes. So it's Malware WARBYTES. So Malwarebytes started out as a free version. They tried when McAfee, when Kaspersky, when Norton were the big three. Malwarebytes was the, if you're just looking for something that's better than Windows and you want to, and it wants to be free, then I always had Malwarebytes because it was free. You didn't have to pay for anything, and for the most time, I installed it, I ran the virus scan, I found what I wanted to get rid of on my computer, and then I just put it back into kind of like a sleep or base mode where it's not searching at all. The only time the Malwarebytes will search is when you tell it to search. Now, it also has a paid version. It has a premium version that you can do. It has some really good software for it, but I highly recommend, if you want to give it a try out, download Malwarebytes. They give you a free trial. You don't have to input any financial information. It just gives you a free trial. It's both on your phone and on your computer. You can try it out. You can try the premium. You can run the virus scan, and then you can uninstall it if you don't like it, and you got a free good virus scan out of it. You can also set it to schedule. It'll virus scan every month. It can turn your computer on to virus scan in the middle of the night, so it's never going to interfere whenever you're trying to use the computer. And you don't have to come out and turn it on and then run the virus scan and then turn it back off whenever it's done. Really easy. And that was called Malwarebytes. Nice, easy. Highly recommend that program. But I also highly recommend Norton. And if you're going to buy one, Norton will probably be the better way to go. So we're going to go up with a couple of these scams now. So 2020 has, I think, from what I've heard from a lot of people, increased the amount of scams that are targeted at senior citizens. I mean, you probably get I'm not even a senior citizen, and I get phone calls every day from some kind of IRS scam, from a FedEx scam, UPS, somebody saying I have a package and I need to go to this website to claim the package, or it used to be, oh, you won a cruise. Go to this website, sign up for all these things, and here's your free cruise. But in the end of the day, you end up paying more because you have to sign up for all these programs. And the likelihood one of those programs is a virus. So we're going to go over email, virus pop-ups, and text message scams. And then, like I said, afterwards, we're going to follow it up. We're going to go on the websites for the National Council of Aging and go through what they have for their tips on how to avoid scams. So email scam, most often than not, the scammers are going to mimic a major company. FedEx, PayPal, Amazon, Walmart, Google, all these companies, they rarely do, they're really never going to send you an email saying, hey, this is wrong. In the case of something is wrong with your account, you're going to get a phone call, because most often than not, all of those accounts are going to have your phone number in it. But even if those websites choose to send you an email saying something is wrong, the first thing you should do whenever you're looking at any kind of link where it wants you to sign in via email is do not click on that link, but instead go to the website. So if you are, say you got an email from Walmart saying there's a problem with your payment and you need to go and confirm your payment, that right there, big no-no. Instead of clicking on the link they give you, which would have taken you to a website that looks exactly like Walmart's website, where you would input your information and it would log you into their fake website, and then it would just kind of spaz out and be done because it already stole your information. You're going to go to the regular website, Walmart website. You're going to go and log in and then just kind of follow up through with what the email is asking. If something really was wrong, it would be there on their regular website as like a notification or something like that. Don't go through the links they send you in an email. Always do the work on your own. Go to that website, log in on that website where you know that you've gone. Okay. Oftentimes you'll get an email from deposed Nigerian prince, and he's looking for money and he just needs to send something through your account. Always be aware, more often than not, you really did not win something that you didn't sign up for. If you didn't sign up for it, if you're not aware of it, don't accept it. Additionally, if you get an email from somebody claiming to be your cousin, call them in person, because the hacker might have that email address, but they don't have that person's phone number. Call them and ask them, oh, my nephew is in jail in Mexico and he needs me to send him money. Well, call him. If your nephew picks up and he is actually in jail in Mexico, well, you should probably just let his parents deal with it. But more often than not, you're going to get some kind of email that from a relative that needs help, but that relative does not need help. And if you called them, it would solve that issue in an instant. So talking to somebody, a hacker cannot stop. They can't. They're betting that you're just going to do it. That you're just going to see that your relative's in need and you're going to do whatever you can to send them money as quickly as possible. You're not going to try to follow up through it. You might follow up afterwards after you sent the money and say, oh, let me call him and make sure he got it. But at that point, it's a bit too late.
Fear factor.
So the next thing that you're really going to get, a lot of scams are going to be virus pop-ups, and often than not, they're going to come whenever you are viewing some article on the internet. A lot of the the big news websites. So you have CNN, Fox News, MSNBC. They have pop-ups, but those pop-ups aren't going to be really dangerous. What you're really going to want to be aware of is when you're looking on Facebook and you click on this article about some celebrity doing something crazy. And when you click on that article, oh, now it's a page where every corner of this page is covered in an ad. And within 5 seconds of visiting that page, it opens a whole new page and, oh, you won something. Click here to spin the wheel. Never click anywhere on a website. And the biggest thing where they really get you is the X button. So the button that you click on to close out of the website, sometimes that's fake. Sometimes they have an ad that pops up and you click X, and actually what you clicked on was part of the ad and you agreed to download something, and now something starts downloading on your computer. What you want to do is if you are in a pop-up and you see the only way to get out is by clicking X, just press Alt F4. Alt F4 is the key code that will immediately cancel or delete or close out of whatever you're opening right now. So if you did Alt F4 right now, likelihood it would close out of Zoom. If I did Alt F4, it might close out of my PowerPoint. But if you're looking at an ad, if you really need a backup without pressing any button, Alt F4 is going to be your saving grace. If that doesn't work, just shut your computer off. If you click on somewhere and it starts to download something, the best thing you can do is just shut down your computer, unplug it, whatever. Your computer will be able to save itself, but if you cut off and you stop a virus from fully downloading, it won't work. The viruses only work if everything is there. If you get 99% downloaded and you were able to unplug it in time, that's good. All you have is just a useless file on your computer that you can easily delete. But once it gets 100%, that virus is fully operational and it will hide itself. The first thing a virus does whenever you download it on your computer is it's going to go someplace else in your computer. And I don't know if you ever really tried to search for a virus on your computer, but there are millions of folders with random files and numbers and all this stuff hidden away on your computer. And it's hard to know what's supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. That's why we have virus scans, because they know what is supposed to be there and what's not supposed to be there. But say you download something and it pops into your download folder and you go and you're like, oh, here I have it. And I click delete it. More often than not, that was just a fake. That was a plant put by the virus to kind of just think that give you that false sense of security. Thinking, okay, I deleted the virus, I'm good to go, I can continue on with my day. No, once the virus is fully downloaded, it starts running and it hides itself away in your computer. So just always be aware. Alt F4 if you're ever in trouble. Completely shut down your computer if you're really in trouble. And finally, smartphones. Nowadays, you can send a text message to somebody without actually even having to have a phone number. And so that's kind of opened up a whole new avenue for hackers and viruses to get through you. And with smartphones being so close to computers, many of the same viruses that used to work on computers work on smartphones. So you can't just think, oh, I have my phone, I'm I'm virus free, that's not going to be an option there. So you'll often get a text message from somebody claiming that you have to, FedEx says, we missed you in a package. Please click here to confirm your details. You click on the package, it opens up to a FedEx website. Boom, 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 then you're good to go. Sometimes they just want you to reply with yes. By replying with yes, that you are accepting whatever terms and conditions they have. You don't have to even look at the terms and conditions for somebody to have to say that you accepted to them. This is actually a really good thing. Whenever you were getting cold calls from, say, telemarketers, never answer the phone by saying yes, hello. Always just say, this is, or who is this, or hello. Never give an affirmative, because they can record that hello or that yes, and then they can sign you up for a lot of things. And whenever it goes back and say a company has a recording of you and it says, well, this is you saying yes, and it's your voice, but it wasn't actually you saying yes. It was just somebody clicking play on a recording. More often than not, what you want to do whenever you are getting a message from somebody, whether it be from Messenger, like on Facebook, or whether it be a text message, just delete it if you don't know it. You can often preview messages without having to open them. Just delete them. If somebody is really interested in getting in contact with you, they will try again. More often than not, hackers, they don't try you twice, because they just send it out to everybody once and that's it. And then they redo their whole thing and they send it out to everybody again under a different phone number to a different group of people. So just if you're unaware, delete it. If they're really somebody who wants to get in contact with you, they will reach out again. If they're real, they will try to reach out to you again. So we're gonna go on.
Nothing. The screen went blank for a minute. I was like, oh, where did you go?
Can you see my screen right now?
Well, you're flipping around through a lot of stuff. Yes.
Okay, good. So we are on the National Council of Aging, and
Okay.
we're going to go through top 10 financial scams targeting senior citizens. All right, so health insurance, Medicare, big one. And this usually pops up whenever it gets close to open enrollment time, or when they're aware of when people are turning 65. It is, it's easy. There's a lot of knowledge out there on the internet. So more often than not, they will pose as somebody trying to sign you up for Medicare, and they'll try to get your information. They don't need to get your social security. They just need to really look for your name, your phone number, your address, your middle name, things that make it easy to steal your identity somewhere else. They might also try to send you, like, say, oh, well, we can sign you up if you pay a deposit, and they'll try to get some information from you. So you got to be very aware. More often than not, whenever you're looking for Medicare help, you should call somebody who is licensed to help you. And if you ever need assistance, you can always talk to your local I guess we would say Department of so the Texas Adult Protective Services. This would be the best place for those in Texas to go to if they're looking for any kind of assistance, whether it be elder abuse or if you just have questions in general. There are always public entities that are there to help you. Another good one here in Austin is going to be the Age Group, which is the Austin's Group of Aging in Austin, Texas. They have a couple other ones. I think it's Opportunities for Williamson and Burnett County is a good organization that will assist you. Then you have just local organizations, Drive a Senior. They all are very well aware of local senior citizen services, and they're more than happy to point you in the right direction. So just be very wary when somebody's coming to you, when you're being contacted, when you haven't contacted them. So next thing up, counterfeit prescription drugs. So often than not, somebody's going to try to sell you some kind of prescription drug, and they're going to try to save you money. Say your prescription drug is $80 at HEB. Well, they're going to say, well, my grandmother had this, but she got too many, or my grandmother just passed away and I'm just trying to sell you these prescription drugs. One, it's a no-no. always get your prescription drugs from the pharmacy because you never can confirm whether or not they're real. 2, it's just a no-no. Never buy any drugs from anybody unless they are from a pharmacy. So that's just, we're going to leave it at that. If somebody is trying to sell you some kind of drugs, say no. You can get it from your pharmacy. It's always better to pay more to make sure that you're getting the real deal. Funeral and cemetery scams. This is a big one. A lot of times they want you to, they might claim to be a deceased relative who just died, and the funeral services is trying to collect debt. And they say, well, you have to pay, or else we're just not going to bury this body, and then you have to come pick up the body. Most often than not, nobody's really going to want to go to a funeral place and pick up a body. You're going to want to pay to get it rid of, and these scammers are really going to prey on just the emotional aspect of losing a loved one. So if you ever have this where somebody's trying to get you to pay for somebody's funeral, just like before, call that person, call the relative, do your own information. If this was real, they will call again. But if it's a scam, when you hang up, more often than not, then you're gonna be done. I'm not saying that you're gonna be done with scams, but I'm saying that they're gonna try to find somebody else because it's not in their interest to try to keep trying to scam on somebody who already said no. When you say no in a scammer's mind style, that's basically, okay, let's move on. Next person on the list, who are we going to go? Because these people, the person who's doing a funeral and cemetery scam, they have a long list of phone numbers and they're just going to move on down the list if it doesn't work. So always say no, hang up, do your own research, good to go. Fraudulent anti-aging products. Ooh, this is going to be something you might see not so much as a scam where somebody's contacting you, but a scam as like an advertisement scam. So not all Facebook advertisements are good or legit or legal. Same thing with advertisements you might get on the internet. The more well-known and popular of a website, the better you can trust their ads, but you should never trust an advertisement 100%. If something seems too good to be true, it more often than not it is. Now, say there is this company that's selling a anti-aging cream and they are selling it for a third of the price of what you would normally get from a makeup store. Well, if they have a company name and they have a company product, just go to Google and type that information in and see what pops up. If it's a scam, more often than not, there are websites out there that are going to be like, yes, this is a scam. Watch out for this company. Or somebody has posted an article saying, be aware of this. This is a scam. You have telemarketing or phone scams. I would say this is going to be your largest area for senior citizens because more often than not, senior citizens are going to be the ones who still have landlines, and it's pretty easy to get that information. But you're also going to get this stuff on your smartphone as well. So we have 3 different types here. You have the pigeon drop. They have found a large sum of money and they're willing to split it if you withdraw the funds from your bank, put it into so if you withdraw it from their bank and put it into your bank, and they do that by you provide your bank information to them. Big no-no there. Yes, because instead of you withdrawing funds, they're going to withdraw funds from your bank. Simple as that. The second you give them information so they can send you money, they're going to reverse it, they're going to request it, and they're going to be able to steal that money from you. A fake accident. One of your relatives is in the hospital and you need money. Just like one of your relatives being stuck in prison in Mexico and needs money to get out, just call the victim, talk to them in person, see if it's real. And if my experience with the billing from a hospital is any example, you will never get a bill due before you leave that hospital. It always takes months. I mean, I'm running on almost 3 months now since we've had the birth of our child, and I have yet to see that bill. So I can tell you the hospital's in no rush to get a bill out to you, nor will they really ever try to seek money right now. And a charity. It's a hard one because there are some legitimate charities out there that are looking to to get your money. The Texas State Trooper calls me every year trying to get, to ask me to donate to them. There are some legitimate charities. The best way to do this with the charity is to say, I will call you back, hang up, go to that charity's website, get that charity's phone number, and call that charity, and then follow through and pay that way if you really want to donate to the charity. But never let them cold call you and then you pay them. Too often than not, it's going to be a scam. Internet fraud, this is something just as simple as email phishing. We already talked about this. Make sure that you're doing your own information. If somebody wants you to update on the information on your account, go to that website on your own and update the information there. Investment schemes, somebody's going to be looking for you to help pay for something. Pyramid schemes, big. The Nigerian prince I talked about earlier, looking for somebody to help claim his inheritance. All this is really, they want you to provide money. The assumption is that they're going to return more money to you. And a homeowner reverse mortgage scams, this is gonna be a big one. And there's two levels to this. The first level is that often than not, you're going to get a letter in the mail claiming to be from your mortgage company, saying they have really good rates. So when you look at it on the little preview slot on your letter, it's going to say from, like, my mortgage company is Guild Mortgage, so it's going to say from Guild Mortgage. But then you open it up and actually it's not affiliated with Guild Mortgage at all. It's a completely different company. Their deals aren't as good as they say they are, and they really just want to get your information. Some of those are also going to be scams too. So when you're doing information, when you're doing anything, it's always best, just, I'm going to keep repeating myself here, is to do the work on your own, to connect the services that you want on your own. Don't let them connect to you. Sweepstakes and lottery scams, you want a free lunch, you want a free cruise, you want a free something, but first you have to do yada, yada, yada. Most often than not, they're going to try to steal your information. They're going to try to sign you up for some kind of service that you don't want. And they're going to try to download a virus onto your computer. So if you didn't sign up for it, unfortunately, more often than not, you're not lucky enough to just win a free cruise out of nowhere. So you got to be very aware of that. Then you have the grandparent scam. You'll place a call to an older person and they're going to say, hey, grandma, do you know who this is? They might get some young actor to play as if they're playing on your memory. Keep a list of your grandchildren, your names and their age. Sometimes these people will call, hey, grandma, do you know who this is? It's your great grandchild, Eloise. Well, Eloise only was born 3 months ago, but my grandmother, who might have Alzheimer's, might not know that and just thinks that she wants to help her out. So it's really helpful to, if somebody is asking you for money and they ask you, like, hey, do you know who it is? I'm yada, yada, yada son. Well, then, okay, well, let me call yada, 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 and then I'll talk to you that way. And if they try to say, oh, no, don't bother them, well, then that just means that it's most likely going to be a scam. So real quick here, 8 tips to protect yourself. And I'm going to read through these really quick. And this is on the National Council of Aging organization website. So be aware that you are at risk from strangers and from those closest to you. And this is talking generally about elder abuse. 90% of all of elder abuse is committed by one of their own family members. So you want to make sure that when you're sharing your information with your family members, just make sure it's someone that you trust, and try not to have anybody have access to your bank accounts unless they have a power of attorney and they're supposed to have access to that. So if your niece or nephew needs to borrow your credit card and you don't really trust them, maybe just pull out some cash or buy them a gift card. So that way you can control how much they have on there. Don't isolate yourself. This is really key. A lot of elder abuse happens to people who are on their own. So even though we're just virtual, staying connected to people in your community, in our community program, excellent way to help prevent elder abuse. All right. Always tell solicitors, I never buy from somebody or give to anyone who calls or visits me unannounced. Send me something in writing. More often than not, if they are a scammer, once you say no to them once, they're not going to follow up again. Shred all of your receipts with your credit card number. Very key. Not only should you do this in with your physical receipts, but if you ever have anything in your email that has even the last 4 digits of your credit card number, delete those and make sure they're also deleted from your from your trash bin. Things can sit in your trash bin for 300 days, to a year, or never get deleted, and you might think it's gone, but a lot of times hackers will look through your trash to see what you've kind of tried to get rid of. You can sign up for the do not call list. Now, the do not call list used to be excellent. It's not as great anymore. It's better than nothing, but just be aware, if you get a do not call list, it does not mean that you are 100% free from scams. You will still get scams. Use direct deposit. Very key. You should, if you can help it, try to prevent checks from being mailed to you. Have it directly. It's so easy. There are so many companies now that do free checking accounts, and direct deposit is almost a guarantee, or even sometimes just like a requirement to have a free checking account is to have a direct deposit. Never get out your financial information, private information, to anybody over the phone unless you called them. That's the biggest thing. Never get somebody to call you and then provide information. Always call them. And if they say they're from a company and you say, okay, I don't feel safe, I want to call you, don't let them give you a phone number. You should find the phone number yourself, because more often than not, they're just going to give you the same phone number that's going to reroute themselves back to you. And like I've said, repeat it over and over and over again. Be skeptical of all unsolicited offers and thoroughly do your own research. If you are sent something, always follow up through your own way. Do Google, through going to that website. Never just click what is given to you. Okay. And before we go today, this is the if you ever have any issues with elder abuse, if you have more issues with scam, or you're just looking for more information to help protect yourself, when it comes to senior citizens and senior related things, the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services runs the Texas Adult Protective Services. That is the APS. You can contact them if you have any questions. If you think you were suffered from a scam or elder abuse in any way or form, they conduct information or investigations, and they have lots of information on how to prevent elder abuse. You can call them. You can get brochures. They're very helpful. There's a prevention kit here that you can get. They'll send it to you. Lots of information, and that's the Texas Department. For the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, and under that is the Adult Protective Services. Sorry, that was just a big mouthful, but yeah. Well, that's all I have today. Did you have any last minute questions before we head off, Bonnie?
You have great information, Corey. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Of course, no problem. Oh, and before we go, let's just do a quick Google search. What's going to be their best Mac antivirus program? We have one, Bitdefender, we went over.
Kaspersky.
I do not recommend Kaspersky. So when the article came out, there was a lot of like, oh no, that couldn't happen. Even if it's just even if you just get an accusation, it's always better just to, if there's other options, there are other options. You have McAfee here, Norton 360 Deluxe, good things, Bitdefender. So the big three that we talked about, Bitdefender, Norton, and McAfee, all work excellent for Mac. So those can be some good things now. And today is actually Cyber Monday. So there's gonna be lots of deals if you're looking to get some sort of tech, whether it's a new computer, whether it's antivirus software, anything like that, today is a great day, and this week as well, because you're going to have a lot of deals to make it a bit cheaper for you as well. So,
Okay.
all right.
Well,
So
we've both been victims of scams. They stole our social security information and
mhm.
actually had my husband moved to the state of Washington.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and